Howdy, another short one with content. I'm trying to do different short subjects over the next few weeks of things I've talked about for years. And I've said one of the things I've said always, see the big picture. So if you can see the big picture, and I'm going to talk specifically about what's going on in the protests around the country right now. So we had the shooting, and any killing or shooting is bad, no matter how you look at it. But we've got the ICE protests going on right now. And I'm not going to get into whether that's right or wrong, but we do have agitators, paid agitators that are out there giving them all a hard time. Something inevitably was going to happen. But what I'm saying in the big picture here is let's just call they the bad people, how we look at the not so good people, not really looking at the interests of the free American people, want a civil war going on. Because all the things people like myself have talked about for years is now being exposed. Our health, money laundering, endless wars for no reason. The system is corrupt. And I'm not just talking about Democrats, I'm talking about Republicans, I'm talking about everything all the way around, things I've talked about for years. The system is corrupt, and we the people have gotten the fallout for that for decades. The parties that we see right now that I've grown up with, Republican, Democrat Party, are the same wings of one bird, two wings of the same bird. They're all corrupt. There's good ones in each party, but we and President Trump and his team have been breaking apart and bringing the exposure to all this. It's going to take some time, but you're going to see so much this year. But what's happening now is, let's call them the deep state. They're getting pushed into a corner from the exposure. Let's look at the Somalians and the fraud going on in Minnesota. Tim Walz being exposed. There are still people out there, I've watched interviews, I've talked to some people who believe that's all made up by the US government, Trump and team, to go in and use ICE and do all these sort of things. It's all going to be brought out. The evidence is there already in volumes. It'll be there when it goes to trial and arrests and all that. But they're getting pushed into a corner. And what happens when any animal gets pushed into a corner? They get violent. They stretch out because they know the end is coming. So they're getting desperate, and their old playbook isn't working anymore. They want a civil war. They want a civil war because it'll create a distraction from them getting caught for all their stuff on all levels. Again, I'm not just talking about the far left. I'm talking about the right, left, center, all these people who've been involved in screwing us for years. This is the big picture. So this shooting that happened with ICE, you can see what's happening now. These protests are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. If you look and see that bigger picture and start to connect the dots, these protesters, some being funded by dark monies, just like Antifa, just like factions of the BLM movement were done when they were burning down cities, and Summer of Love a couple years ago with no consequences whatsoever, pulling people out of cars, killing them, beating them up. But they're going for one last gasp, so they're organizing. It's done undercover. The media, the legacy media, is covering for them too. So you're starting to see now all these celebrities, all these political leaders, all these talk show hosts, all these influencers starting to say it's time to take up arms, or starting to say you need to get more aggressive, you need to go out and confront, you need to go out and confront. If you start to see, you can see it's happening everywhere now. They're organizing, not to mention all the unvetted immigrants that came across the border the last 5 years, unchecked, military-aged people, are all part of this. And they're going to try to create havoc, chaos, and go after people, including ICE and other things. Watch, it will happen. President Trump, on the other hand, and his team always gives an out, always gives time, chance after chance after chance for anybody before he pulls the trigger on them, so to speak. He's done that with the National Guard. The Supreme Court ruled against having the National Guard in certain blue states. So basically that paved the way for him to legally do the Insurrection Act, which is going to happen. The Insurrection Act will be pulled. Once these protests start, they're going to get very violent in these cities. You're seeing it happen right now. The gaslighting from the media and the celebrities, Trump will do the Insurrection Act legally and constitutionally. And they're not going to know what hit them. And it's that phrase that I've said over and over, military is the only way. Keep that in mind, keep your eyes open.